Our reporter, our SABC reporter, Manelisi Dubase in Parliament. Manelisi, good afternoon to you. What has the committee actually now decided to do? What is the Communications Ministry going to? What is the Communications Committee going to do from here?
Well, they decided that next week what they need to do, they need to conduct what they call exit interviews with those members of the SABC who resigned, just to get to understand exactly what are the problems, because what they say is that many SABC boards never lasted. So they say that there might be issues that they have never tried to understand, previously. So they need to call those board members who left to try and get to the bottom of this whole thing. And these board members who are there. Another suggestion was that they need to set up an inquiry into the problems within the board in the SABC so that it can, go through all the nitty-gritties of what exactly is happening there. And another suggestion was that maybe they should just dissolve the current board members, those who are remaining. I think there are about 4 of them. But the legal advice was that they have no basis to dissolve these 4 board members. Otherwise, they can be taken to court by these remaining board members. So eventually what they agreed is that they are going to meet next Tuesday. They are going to call all those members, past and present, and then try to conduct themselves and interview all of them to try to get to the bottom of these matters at the SABC, to see why these others resigned and why these others didn't resign and what was the way forward. So we will see from there, and then after that, they think that after they have, work out all those issues, they can now be in a position to shortlist the candidates for the new board.
Okay, so yesterday it seemed that next week we're going to have a shortlist. We're actually going to have appointments and nominations for board members perhaps to the National Assembly by mid-March. This all means then that won't happen, right? There won't be a process of just appointing new members. That's all. The pause button's been pressed there.
Steve, I doubt very much that that can happen next week. I doubt very much, because it is likely that even these interviews with these outgoing and those remaining board members, they cannot last a day or two. I mean, it can take quite some time. And what complicates matters is that the committee itself doesn't speak in one voice. I mean, opposition parties, even among themselves, they have different views on this. For instance, the EFF is suggesting that this whole thing should be left to the 6th Parliament, rather, because they say that the time is quite tight between now and the elections. While the DA says this thing is long overdue. I mean, they can't go to the election with an interim board or with a board that was not, appointed independently, that can oversee the processes of the SABC. So you have those differences, while the ANC on the other hand is think that the short route to do all this is to dissolve this current board. But now, as I say, that they have no legal basis to do that. I mean, that process can also drag on and on. I mean, even to the courts. So it's just practically impossible that we might probably have a new board before the election, unless they can agree to set up an interim board and then appoint a new board after the election.
So, Manelisi, let me come to that. The election, I think, was proclaimed today. We're just, it's on the 8th of May. It's coming soon. The ANC obviously holds the majority on that committee. You would think that they would be the ones who would say, we need to have an SABC board for the election. There have been various claims about what could happen if the SABC doesn't actually have a board for the election. So what arguments are they giving for taking this route and not just appointing new members as they said they would do yesterday?
Well, the ANC, what they are saying is that there is not enough time, to vet all these members, interview them thoroughly. They say that they are afraid of the past mistakes that they've done. You remember that some of the board members, it transpired that others doesn't even have the qualifications which they purported to be having. You'll remember the past chairperson of the SABC board who couldn't produce qualifications. They say that those issues are a lesson that they need not repeat. So they say that rushing this process with an aim that they need to do it just before the election might also risk putting them back where they were with the previous boards. So that's the basis of the ANC argument, that this process has to be done thoroughly and it has to be the vetting process of all the candidates of the board has to be done very thoroughly, and the new board should last rather than the board that has disintegrated in the past.
Manelisi Dubase, thank you very much indeed. And of course, Sepiso has more for you now.